Hello, dear one. My name is Naniya from Love and Freedom Life Strategies. I'm a health and life coach. Boundaries. I would say that the concept of boundaries saved my marriage. The idea that I am a separate person from the people around me, responsible for my own thoughts, feelings, behaviors, choices, responsible for my own attitudes. The idea of boundaries, think about a boundary line. So you could go to the official records in your town and you could find out what the boundary lines are on your property. So it's where your property ends and someone else's begins. It's so important for us to know where we end and someone else begins, that we don't merge into other people, that we don't get enmeshed with others. For me, this was incredibly important to come to the realization that I am not responsible for my husband's happiness. Maybe even more so, that he is not responsible for mine. I am not responsible for my children's happiness, and they are not responsible for mine. The moment that we begin to take on responsibility for other people's thoughts, feelings, behaviors, attitudes, choices, we can get ourselves into a whole lot of trouble and a whole lot of unhappiness. Part of what's so important here is the idea of responsibility, taking full ownership and responsibility for ourselves. Because in this, there's an incredible amount of empowerment. We step into our personal power. The way we've been created is to be responsible and contained within our self. And out of that place, we have the power to choose, to create our lives the way we want to. We are very powerful beings, but we have to own that. We have to take responsibility for that. I am responsible for my own happiness. In the 6 pillars of self-esteem, Dr. Nathaniel Branden lists take responsibility for yourself as one of the pillars, one of the major ways that we can become fully who we're supposed to be and love who we are and have a healthy self-esteem is by taking responsibility for ourselves. In any relationship, whether or not something we see it as our fault or not, to take ownership as best we can and to say, I'm going to be a part of finding a solution for this, but also to say, I'm never expecting that other person to make me feel a certain way, make me feel loved or make me feel happy or to build up my self-esteem. No. What are you doing to build up your self-esteem, to be fulfilled, to feel loved? We have so much power and we need to embrace that. Another huge part of boundaries that's so important is the concept of freedom. We are free agents. We've been created with volition and with choice. And the only way that true love can grow is in an environment of freedom. Love only exists where there is freedom. So to let the people around us be free to be who they are, to let ourselves be free to own what it is that we want, what it is that we prefer, our thoughts, what it is that we need to say. This idea of boundaries is incredibly important in the health and growth of relationships, any relationships. I realize I'm just skimming the surface here, but part of it is just wanting to introduce or remind you of this idea. Let me know in the comments below how this relates to you in your life. For me, it really was in the first few years of marriage looking to my husband to make me happy, to fulfill all sorts of expectations that I had for him. And the freedom of being able to allow him to be who he is and me to look internally and to say, how is it that I'm going to nurture fulfillment, happiness, joy in myself? How is it that I'm going to take responsibility, full responsibility for myself? The freedom that has come with that, the joy, the enjoyment of him, letting him be who he is incredible. I'm still working on it with my kids. I take too much ownership of especially their feelings, their big emotions. I want to take them away. I feel responsible for them instead of just allowing them to feel them. And I know that this can cause such difficulty if we're growing up in an environment where we're not allowed to feel what we're feeling. So I'm still working on that one. It's tough. So I encourage you to look at your own life. Where do you need to grow in boundaries, and where are you doing really well? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear. Thank you for being with me today. Let's continue to practice and learn and grow together. Peace to you.